Okay, good morning. Okay, we're going to continue these lessons like we did yesterday. Yesterday we talked about comparing order numbers. Today we're going to talk about rounding. Now I wanted to cover rounding because for some reason, and I don't understand it, rounding appears to be one of the easiest skills in 5th grade. However, what I've discovered is many students struggle with this. So we're going to cover this, and I'm going to try to cover it pretty briefly. First, I want to start out, when I talk about rounding, I'm going to go over some things that you need to remember, and then I'm going to model. So if you look over here, I've kind of listed some things that really applies to rounding. Number one says, look to the first number of the rounding digit. Okay, really? And number two says, see if that number is 5 and above or 4 and below. And step 3 says, if the number is 5 and above, the rounding digit increased by 1. Over here, 3 continued. For example, when it says increase by 1, it said if the rounding digit is 6, then if it's 5 and above, then the rounding digit would become a 7. Now, number 4 says, if the number next to the rounding digit is 4 and below, the rounding digits stay the same. For example, if the rounding number is 6 and the number next to it is 4 and below, the rounding digit would remain 6. What you notice up here, the rounding digit was 5 and above, so it went to 7. Here it stayed 4 and below, and so the rounding digit will stay at 6. Now, once you go through these steps, all numbers to the right of the rounding digit go to 0. All the numbers to the left of the rounding digit stay the same. Now, one of the things to note is the rounding digit will remain the same or increase by 1 digit. Now, I understand that a lot of this might be confusing that I just went through. So I'm going to go through a few examples and you'll see what I'm talking about, how this applies. Okay? Direct your attention over here. Now, if you notice, I'm going to take the same number here, 38,674 and 378,000. And I'm going to round it to the thousands, I'm going to round it to the hundreds, I'm going to round it to the tenths, and then I'm going to round it to the hundreds. Now watch as I apply this rule. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the digit that we're going to round. In this case, it's thousands. So we indicate our thousands digit. In this case, 8 is our thousandth digit. And it says look to the digit right to the right of it. Okay? Most of the time, teachers will tell you to draw this little symbol here. If you notice, now I stop right there. This digit is 5 and above. So this is going to increase by 1. So this 8 now becomes a 9. Now notice it says all digits to the right. This is to the right. They go to 0. So all of these numbers here would be 0. And usually, if it's on this side of the decimal, you don't have to put and 0, 0, 0, 0. You can just leave this number here. Now notice it says all digits to the left stay the same. So this 3 simply come down. So we have rounded 38,647 and 378,000. We rounded it to the thousands digit. So notice how I applied all of these rules. Now notice I'm finna go round this to the hundreds digit. Same thing applies. I identify the hundreds digit. There it is. I draw my arrow next to it. Now I stop right there. I identify whether this digit is 5 and above or 4 and below. In this case, this is a 4. If this is a 4, this number stays the same. So I can put that 6 there. All numbers to the right go to 0. So this 4 becomes a 0, this 7 becomes a 0, and all numbers to the left stay the same. So this 38 would remain 38. So now I've rounded this digit to the hundredths digit. Notice this rule will apply with all of these numbers. I'm going to do two more, and you'll see how what I just covered with all of those steps makes sense. Now this a round to the tenths. Notice anytime that you see THS on the end, you're going to be on this side of the decimal place value. Because if it ends in S, then you're going to be on this side. So, it says identify the tenths. Here's my tenths. I look at the number, always the number to the right. That number is 5 and above. This number goes to 4. Now notice the numbers to the right go to 0. You can or you don't have to. If you feel comfortable putting those zeros there, you can because you're on this side of the decimal place. Most people will just leave it at the 4. However, you must put your decimal there because all numbers to the left stay the same. So you're just going to rewrite these numbers. And now that number is rounded to the tenths digit. Okay? I'm going to do one more. This say round to the hundredths digit. Once again, I come down. Here's my hundredths digit. I look to the right. And notice this number is 5 and above. So this number goes to 8. This number to the right can go to 0. Numbers to the left stay the same. So I've just rounded this number to the hundredths, this to the tenths. Now I want you to notice one thing. You notice I used the same number as I rounded these. There was a reason for that. Because the only thing that's going to change in rounding is you're going to have a different number. But all of these steps remain the same. What we went over here, rounded, look to the first digit to the right of the rounded digit. See if that number is 5 and above or 4 and below. If the number is 5 and above, the rounded digit increased by 1. For example, if it's a 6, it go to 7. If the number is 4 and below to the rounded digit, then it stays the same. So if it was a 6, it stays a 6. And all numbers to the right of the rounded digit go to 0. All numbers to the left stay the same. So the rounded digit will remain the same or increase by 1. So in a nutshell, when you round it, the rounding digit is either going to stay the same or increase by 1. So this is a short, brief lesson, a complete lesson on rounding. So as we close out, I want to direct your attention here. This is what we covered yesterday, and it's also on YouTube. Now, you will have a worksheet with rounding. And parents, I'm also giving you, you'll notice on the previous one, the answer sheet. So as you have your child work these problems, on the blank answer sheet, you will have, on the blank sheet, you will have the answer sheet. And so you'll be able to check their work and check their progress. I also need you to let me know whether you get these lessons so I can create some more. I know we're out of school. One other thing, parents, that I would ask for you to do is that will help your children tremendously in math. Make them study their multiplications while they're off. A lot of them, my 5th graders, only about 10% know their multiplication. And as they go up, that's a must if they're going to be successful in math. So once again, I'm going to say, see you later and stay safe.